What's up, bookworms? Welcome to episode 110 of the Cantina Book Club podcast, where readers can find interviews with authors of all genres. I'm Megan, self proclaimed content queen, here to bring you insights from the authors themselves. Each week features a Cantina conversation with an author. Sometimes they're returning guests, sometimes it's someone new. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on an episode, and feel free to browse through existing episodes so that you could catch a previous interview about a book you finished. Today's episode features a chat with Lindy Ryan. We're talking about her books, Bless Your Heart and the sequel, Another Fine Mess. Both of those books are available now. Some spoilers might pop up in these conversations. Usually I try to be spoiler free, but the episode is more enjoyable if you've read the book anyway. If you don't know why I lament to Lindy about what she does to her poor characters and potential love interests during the books, hit pause, add this episode to your playlist, go pick up a copy of Bless Your Heart and Another Fine Mess. The interview will be here when you're ready. Just a heads up that I often use adult language to express my feelings towards these authors and their work. Whether the characters need to get their shit together or I'm saying, what the fuck to the author for making me feel things, just please be mindful around listening ears. Also, happy October for all of those who celebrate the spooky season. Halloween is my favorite holiday, and all the episodes coming out this month are centered around books that fit that spooky vibe, especially today's episode. Books coming out this week, October 28th. We've got Daughter of Stone by B.A. Pepper coming out on Friday, October 31st, on Halloween. Be sure to go check that out. And now a word from Crystal Hope, organizer of the Book Podcast Connection.
Hello, listeners. My name is Crystal Hope. I am the host of Must Love Books podcast and the organizer of the Book Podcast Connection. The BPC is a networking group of over 100 book-related podcasts, from fantasy to romance to horror and every genre in between. There are even podcasts for authors and writers. Check us out on Instagram at Book Podcast Connection or at www.bookpodcastconnection.com and discover your next bookish obsession.
And there you go. I really recommend that you guys check out that group and any of the bookish podcasts that you might be interested in. And without further ado, get ready, grab your favorite drink. Here is Lindy Ryan. So today we've got Lindy Ryan. We're talking about her book, Another Fine Mess. That is the sequel to Bless Your Heart. So we can talk about both of those as relevant as we need to. Lindy, thank you so much for joining me today. This book, it snuck up on me. I didn't know what to expect, but you caught me in the feels, and it was so creepy and eerie, but I was so invested in the characters of the story, and you had me disbelief out loud. And so I'm excited to chat more about it today.
Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to hear that I got you all in the feelings with the Spooky Evans ladies.
Yeah, oh God, I would follow them into battle 100%. They're amazing.
I would too. I think they're pretty awesome.
To get started, and I feel like we can be spoilery because the books have been out for a little bit and we can try to skirt around some major things, but minor spoilers are okay, I would say, since this is a sequel and it's been out for a while. If you could you give like a summary of the story so far for people who might want to follow along?
Sure. So the Bless Your Heart series follows 4 generations of women who own and operate a family funeral parlor and also have the added bonus of making sure that the town's dead stay in their graves once they put them there. So the first book in the series, Bless Your Heart, introduces you to the Evans women and their world. As the littlest Evans, Luna, who is only 15 at the time, begins to realize that she has a much larger role in the family than she would have thought. The second book, Another Fine Mess, that just came out in April, picks up where Bless Your Heart leaves off. There's some tragedy at the end of Bless Your Heart. So we come back to the Evans women about 4 weeks later, exactly one full moon cycle later, and pick up when they thought the mess was over, and it is not. And it's about to get worse than they ever expected. It's a continuation of the first book, really, into the sequel, as we just have to keep dealing with the god-awful mess that's stalking this town.
Yeah. For some reason, this town cannot catch a break, and only the Evans women, only the women know how to handle it.
I know. I wonder if there's any reason why. I guess we'll have to.
So I want to explore your background a little bit because this isn't your first like published title, whatever series continuation. And I kind of want to explore either your publishing background or your professional background. What led you to be telling and sharing the Evans women's story to the world?
Sure. Wow. How do I answer that question? I think I've been in horror and in the publishing for a while. I'm a professor by day, so I teach graduate students all about computer science, which is not related whatsoever.
Well, super cool.
It's a lot of fun. I love teaching, and I get to teach data storytelling, which
Yeah,
has some narrative overlap, even though if it's really not.
exactly.
And I
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
am guest faculty in the Western Connecticut University's MFA program, so I do get to work with writing students, which is excellent. But
Do
I've
they
been
know,
published.
like, do they know that you like publish books and stuff?
Oh yeah, my writing students do. My comp sci students probably don't care.
Yeah.
They're more concerned about they're getting their code right
Yeah,
than any
yeah.
of the professor's scary stories, I think. But I've been in publishing for a while. As an academic, you have to publish. It's kind of part of the job, although the nonfiction and academic writing spaces hugely different than fiction. But I got my start in the fiction space actually writing screenplays and there goes my dog in the background, sorry.
That's all right. Little photo bomb, video bomb.
He bombs everything. He bombs events. He's always around. In the writing space, I was writing screenplays for some kind of Hallmark style romances. So naturally, I transitioned to horror after that. Before I started writing my own books, I was curating anthologies, or I'm an anthologist. So I love anthologies. I think are the bread and butter of the horror genre. Like we all grow up with these anthologies and short story collections. So I love editing and putting them together, and that's the other half of my writing life is really that editorial space.
That's so cool. So a bunch of questions popped into my head. So I do want to talk about how maybe you're not necessarily teaching, but your experience in publishing. Were there any like big lessons learned or skills that you transferred over when you decided to start writing creatively? Yeah.
Patience, persistence. I know, not really, or yes, everything. I think it just depends on the day, but definitely, really, the patience, the relationships, the network of the publishing business played a big part in moving into the writing space for myself. I've always been, I think most writers will say something like they've been writers forever, writing small stories, or I was writing like terrible poetry in my teenage years, like the stuff that will never see the light of day, hopefully, but
Right.
still lives deep down in my soul. We had this conversation not too long ago about if all the women in horror, because we've all written tragic angst poetry, went ahead and published a poetry anthology of all of our teenage angst poems. We thought it would be pretty fantastic. But
You should
the
do
world's
it.
we should totally do it.
Somewhere
And then we'll
down the
all hide.
line.
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of patience and persistence, listening to feedback and getting to know readers. It's all part of the job for sure.
Yeah, and also I like asking authors because I'll talk to authors who are used to writing short stories and participating in anthologies and then transferring those skills into longer prose. And so I think that's so cool, and I almost feel like I totally expected that you ended up like exploring that part because it's you go from what like 20 pages to 300 pages, right? Like how I want to explore like how that process was for you and just how this experience how was it different for you?
I think mine's probably a little bit of the opposite. I'm editing anthologies. I don't write a lot of short stories myself. I'm a very long-winded person. I think it's the
Okay.
academic in me. So
Sure.
short stories are hard for me. I like long. I think my shortest novel is like 90,000 words at this point. So I stay in the longer space or I'll write really short stories. I'll give like a 5,000 word limit and I'll turn over something that's maybe 1,800 words or 2,500 words. I'm just either it's brief or super long. There's really no middle ground for me. So I very much admire the skill of short story writing because there are some really incredible short story writers out there.
Yeah.
I'm just too long-winded, I think.
No, that's understandable. And because I think kind of looking at the big picture versus how are you going to tell that whole arc in, like 9,000 words, how you said. But some people are at least great at it and they've got all these ideas of, yeah,
And
for
it's fair.
sure.
I'm Southern, so we take the long way around the short story, right? So a short story for me still needs some goose trails that meander into nowhere and then come back. But yeah, very long-winded storyteller.
That's so funny. But you could probably that yeah, exactly. That's like where your kind of like roots come into this whole story because that was like it is horror, but it was like almost borderline cozy horror. It still had a southern charm where I don't know, like I was eased into the threat. And it was just like, oh, because we get like multi point of view and it's all third person so the reader can it's not detached, but it's easier to collectively view each person's point of view and get answers in different spots for
Yeah,
sure.
and I love that kind of storytelling, I think, especially for this type of project where there's a whole world and multiple characters that have their own storyline and their own interactions and relationships within the larger world. So I like to, it's like the frog and the boiling water thing. Like you're already in the pot with the water before you realize that you're boiling. So I like to think of cozy horror or the bless your heart world. And I hear that cozy horror or gentle horror or horror comedy a lot. But that's one of my favorite kind of subgenres. So I'm happy to be there.
Yeah, because it's not like dark comedy. It's straight up. There's horror. There's things, and the stakes are high, and there's this mystery, and people are dying, and you don't know who and when they will, who's going to be the next victim, and when. You could see it coming, but I feel like by the time you see it coming, it's oh, it's happening. It's like no, this is it, and it was just because I think also I want to mention the cover designs a little bit because I it was like, oh, this is cute. And then you open the page and you get into the story, you're like, oh, like this is a little darker. And so I feel like that was a fun way to maybe lead the reader in to be like, no, this is horror, but you could still have fun with it. It's not light, but it's like it's teetering on that line.
Yeah, it's the spooky, not scary, maybe line or a little bit. I don't know. There's some genuine scares, some genuine gore, some, like you said, some pretty high stakes. But yeah, it likes to charm you in, bless your heart. And just, you'll find yourself suddenly wading through a barrel of monsters in a funeral parlor and don't see it coming with the pearls and the coziness.
Yeah, I know. I love all the characters. The four women are obviously like my favorite. I think it was, but do you see the matriarch? She is just, it's so funny to see them all interact and okay, business as usual. We got to keep an eye on this. But she's no nonsense and I've been doing this for decades. Just listen to me. And then even implying later in the story where she's not letting that go. She's like, what?
It's great. The Evans women, all four of them are based on women from my family. I was raised in this family of grandmothers. So my great grandmother, her nickname was Ducey, and my nana, Lenore, who was just as tightly wound as Lenore Evans. My mom, who actually does go by the nickname Grace because she is extremely clumsy. So we all call her Grace. And then I poke a little fun at my teenage self as Luna. That's how the women in my family were coming up. They were, nonsense. Like, you just have to get through it. And my Ducey was born in 1919, so I came from the South and some rough decades. So it was just business is business, life is life. You just grit your teeth and get through it. It doesn't matter what it is. You keep going.
Oh my
So.
gosh, that's amazing. I love that. I love that you found a way to like insert these meaningful women into your stories and just integrate their personalities into this wild circumstance.
I know, I
Because
have
I
to wonder
imagine
what they
maybe
would
like you're
think.
just, yeah, you're just imagining like, all right, how would Lucy deal with this? And then it's just, I imagine maybe you ask them like, hey, vampire shows up, what do you do?
All my grandmothers are gone, so I just have my mom and I would
Okay.
talk through it and be like, "What do you think would say, or what would they do, or what would Nana do?" And we joke and laugh. My mother just had one rule. She was like, "Do whatever you want to Grace, but don't ever give her a romance arc." And I was like, so that became its
And
own
that's
fun thing for
I was
me to
gonna
play with.
say, yeah, because that's so for what's his face that's like has eyes for her, and she's not like the Grace in your book. She's not denying that he's like a worthy, partner. She's just like can't, and so that's hilarious now that I know that.
There's all these fun hidden. I know I adore Roger. He's one of my favorite characters I think I've ever written, and I love when it's time for a Roger chapter because he's just resigned, right, to this reality and all the ups and downs it comes with, and I really admire Roger. But poor Grace will have none of it. I
Yeah,
I
he
channel
is
my love
just
for Roger
yeah.
through other characters.
I know because he is just he's a good guy. He's a good guy, but he's oh shit,
Like,
like
this is
almost any
why.
yeah. Like I can like when his POV, I could just feel for him because he's like he's in a tough spot. He's in a tough spot, but he's also still inadvertently, but also he led himself to this situation almost. where he's just in this situation where he's like a part of it now, and he's on the like his position and his role in the town is like so fascinating because it's so conflicting. He's got to do his duty as the sheriff, but then he's helping a long-standing family been in this town for generations, like maintain their status quo.
And to be fair, the family doesn't really want his help, but they also need it. So there's a lot of. I think Roger is very spread thin. I think of Roger. I think of that quote from The Hobbit, where Frodo or Bilbo or somebody, he's like butter scratched over too much bread, just spread too thin. And when we get around to the third book, I think we'll start seeing some consequences of that thinness for Roger.
Oh, poor guy.
Poor guy. I know.
Poor guy, because he really is. He doesn't really do anything wrong other than just falling and staying with this Evans family. When he just, I feel for him for sure. I feel for like almost all the love / platonic interests in. I think Crane was his name. I'm like looking at my notes and stuff. I loved his caricature too, and I loved the doubt and the kind of like suspicion you fed us as the readers. But then later, and then that's another spoiler that we won't get into, but because I feel like that's pretty huge, and I was like, "What the fuck, Lindy?" I was like,
fair. It's fair. I know. I remember I keep a treadmill in my living room, so when I'm thinking, I'm walking and thinking and walking, and I was just like, I have this really great idea for Crane, and everyone was like, no, you wouldn't do that, and I was like, but I would. But I think Crane would be happy, like with his heroism.
Oh gosh, it was like, yeah. When I read it, I was like, oh God, he just accepted it so gracefully, and he was this. He almost saw it coming, but he was so like, it was so cute because they were both like, what are we, aren't we? But he had her back, and he was like, it was. I loved Ducey. I think it was Ducey or like Lenore's. I forget what their. No, he's not a danger. He's just a creepy kid, but he's always kind of creepy. I was like, I love that. I love that. I was like, because I'll take notes like when I read for when I talk to you guys, and I was like, just some of them become a little unhinged, but I was like, Crane. I just loved where you took his story, even though I was a little mad about it.
Mad about it. Yeah, I think that's fair. In the Evans world, things aren't always what they seem. So
exactly, that's a little string of hope that I'm holding on to. But it also adds to the plot where everybody's just confused, and even though the Evans women, a lot of it was like the Evans women know how to handle it, but some of the stuff is still unfamiliar. Like some of the stuff they've never had to deal with before.
I think that they've been very insulated in this, got to keep it private, keep it secret, keep it contained. And then they've realized very quickly that they don't know everything there is to know. So you can't keep things a secret if you don't know where they're going to unfurl. So they're dealing with this consequence of holding things a little too close to the chest, and they don't even have their own answers. So they have to open up. Like, they have to take Roger's help. They have to allow Crane and people like him into the world because they just don't know what's going on. So you can't stay in control of something you don't understand. And I think that's a lesson they're learning the hard way. That's probably an understatement, but yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me of what's her face, woman who becomes like their reluctant, was it Kim? Yeah, Kim Cole, she hires her as a beautician to help replace an unfortunate victim previous.
Specifically an unfortunate victim.
Yeah.
And I think I love Kim. Kim in my brain reminds me of Kristen Ritter. Like, she's just this like droll. And I love the narrator does such an incredible job in the audiobook of giving like that Daria voice to Kim.
Oh, that's so
like,
important.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I love her personality because she fills a niche that none of the other Evans women really have that personality. And so she fits in beautifully as an honorary Evans woman. She's a Cole, descended from the Hallorans. And so there's some old family blood ties we need to examine as that. So Kim's relationship with the Evanses, I will say, is not coincidental, but is very meaningful, and I can't wait to build that part of the world out in the next book.
Yeah, because it's just the result of a small town, right? Like, where there's generations, they tend to stick around and build their lives off of what they know, and so that means everybody knows you, everybody knows your business, and if they don't know your business, they find out through a sibling or an aunt or whatever, or just gossip around the town, and it's so hard to keep things to yourself or keep things secret because of just the generations of drama and gossip. And that's why also like an element to the story that I love. And so did you draw like any experiences, or just in general living in the South or living in, like, you knew the nature of people and like
Oh, yeah. Well,
lifestyle?
I'm from the South. I grew up in a very small town that's not unlike the Evans Women's Town. And so when I started to build the world, there's a lot of real history in my hometown of in Texas that meshes into the Evans world and their real history. But yeah, in the 90s growing up, my family was so huge, I ended up going all the way to my senior year of high school and discovering a whole different web of cousins that I never knew. I mentioned my marketing teacher's named my grandmother, and she's, oh yeah, she's your second cousin. I'm like, oh my
What?
God. I'm like, I hate her so much, and I
Yeah.
hope she's not listening. But just, you don't, these unexpected surprises that shouldn't surprise you, and then they do when you're in a small town where, like you said, everyone knows everybody, and they know their business, and I know their mama's business, and it becomes its own type of odd little haunting when you can't outrun the ghosts of your family.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
reminds
so,
me of, yeah, it reminds me of like multi-generational, just whatever. Even people will discover stories from their aunts and their uncles and their grandmas and all that. Oh yeah, you knew about stuff before I existed that has nothing to do with me. And then you hear these stories trickling in, and then you're like, wait, what? And then you're shocked about it, but then it's like reflecting on it, you're like, I actually know that kind of fits. You're like, no,
yeah,
because
that
I'm,
tracks. That sounds about right.
because I think even just if you come from a big family of double digit cousins, whatever, because I don't know, like my mom's side is Mexican, my dad's side is Irish, so it's all Catholic babies. Like I think I was still in my early 30s and I met another cousin, just because it was like, oh, do you know this person? I'm like, I might have seen them at family parties randomly. I just assumed we were related. It's one of those things. It's like either small town and or when you just have a huge extended family where it's just generations of brothers and sisters and parents and cousins and everybody. And I'm like, and then I also am discovering that because I did years ago, I did one of those DNA tests, and I'll get like alerts. Oh, we matched you with new relatives. And I'm like, oh, this is my fourth
Another
cousin.
one?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, that's but then they go back, and I'm like, I don't even know what second cousin once removed is. I don't even know. I'm just like
And
cousins.
that's when you're going, you're like, what does this
Yeah,
even mean? Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's
and
so
it
funny.
spreads. It's hilarious. But it's funny because it like that small world can feel so small, and then you realize how large it is. I was at Dark Ink, an event up in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, hosted by Doylestown Bookshop last month, and a reader came through the signing line, and she brought Bless Your Heart, and she said, I can't wait to read it because I'm originally from Southeast Texas. And of course, I said, where are you from? She's from my hometown. And so I panicked, and we started talking about all of these things and all of these little Easter eggies type stuff that people from the area know. And I'm like, of all places, I'm sitting here in Pennsylvania, and a woman comes through where we literally went to the same school, and like we had the
That's
same high school
hilarious.
principal. Like, it was bizarre and amazing. So those small
Pennsylvania.
nuclear words, yeah, in Pennsylvania. So it was, and that's not the first time that's happened either. So it's bizarre and weird and wonderful, and I love it when it
Yeah.
happens. And
That's
yeah, it just
hilarious. I
reminds
bet
you.
that's because I can understand, yes, you love like meeting your readers and doing these tour stops, but yeah, obviously it could get exhausting. But then when you get like a little pick me up and you're like, oh shit, you're like, wait a second, no way. You're like,
It's weird and wonderful, and yeah, it's really strange. But yes, it definitely makes the afternoon whenever you find a connection like that with a reader or anything else. It could be anything, but when you have that moment with a reader, it really makes the whole event or whole something very magical.
oh, it does. Yeah. It just shifts. It's a little pick me up and it helps your energy and everything like that. I imagine like almost every person you talk to at an event like that, you're just pulled, like your brain is pulled in different directions. But to have that like little connection, that's definitely a little something special. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Your work is in the like kind of horror, your published works are like more horror genre, like spooky genre. Is that right?
Yeah. I think all my work. The Bless Your Heart series is a little on the cozier side of the gentle horror I've heard used, but my upcoming novel, Dollface, is a suburban slasher, so very true to the slasher genre.
Yeah. So yeah, because I just want to explore like what draws you to that. You have touched on it a little bit, but I know I agree that there is something appealing about that type of writing.
I just like to draw from experiences and draw from what means a lot to me. And the Evans women obviously came from my family and came from the scariness of growing in the South, where the monsters are not necessarily the supernatural kind, just the ones walking around all day long without their masks on. I'm really into the idea of masks and when we do and when we don't wear them as people, which I guess I'm seeing now as I'm thinking through Dollface, and like there's kind of a literal mask thing happening with the slasher. But I teach for Rutgers, so I lived in New Jersey for a while. I don't live there anymore, but I still travel up and down. So Dollface is set mirroring some of my experiences when I first moved to that area, which was a very big culture shock because I'd been in the South for my childhood and then the Pacific Northwest for most of my adulthood, and then was suddenly in,
After
suburban New
hopping
Jersey.
around, just as you got used to one region, then you're like, oh.
Yeah, you're like, oh, what's this? This is different. So you write about it. You're the fish out of water writing about things as the bubbles boil in the pot. But yeah, I like taking real experiences, real people, real moments, taking real experiences, real, especially as a woman of a certain.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you lean towards that with the fact that like the line, the protection between supernatural and you can't really defend yourself against these threats. The line of defense is this long-standing generation of women at a funeral parlor who the whole town is. I got the impression that the town was like, we know they're there, we know they're necessary, we don't necessarily like it. Like the town is like accepting of her, and but then we get some from Luna's point of view where they're like, okay, you creepy dead person girl, whatever. Like they tease her about it, and she's just okay, whatever. And so I love that you went there with that and you emphasize that a little bit. Whereas like the line of defense is you're relying on these generations of women who everybody's like they're like reluctantly trusting, even though they don't necessarily know it 100% of the time.
I think there's a kind of a couple of things happening. I think you, as anybody, can't avoid fear or can't avoid horror, but you can always fight back against it. And so each of these women in this family learned that their own way through their own time and their own experiences. And the other thing is, one threat may pass or become softened or something become normal. That doesn't stop the newness of a new one. So Ducey Evans is 80 years old. They've had time to get used to this quirky, weird old lady. That doesn't mean the new 15-year-old one going into high school is going to have that same level of tolerance. It's multi-generational. Everything repeats over and over, but it always changes just a little bit, and how we react and respond evolves as well. So it's a lot of adaptation and resilience and continuing to move forward and fight back against the undead.
And it's you can find parallels to like real life too, like the non paranormal situations where it's people who grown up in a small town or grow up in situations and environments where everybody knows everyone, and it's that's so and so's kid or that's so and so's grandkid, and you have a certain level of expectation or prejudice about it. And I don't want to say like prejudice, and I don't want to use it like totally negative because it's all people know what to expect, or they have their judgments based on what they know. But then, yeah, exactly like you said, this is 3 generations later. It's like, how does what's this gonna go? Because it's a new level. Like, especially like we see it today with each new generation. It's you can't. Who knows?
Yeah, we never know what the future holds. And bless your heart, in the past, the book is set in right at the end of the century, so 98, 99, and there was a lot of things that happened in those times in our world that we all remember, all of us who were around. So we remember Y2K, we remember the Columbine shooting, we remember the politics of the time, we remember all of these things that were shaping our entire world and thus our responses to everything that happened. I was a teenager in high school, like Luna, during those same times. So while I very much still miss my music playlists of the decade, there was a lot of new horror in the world that I didn't know how to handle as a girl. And I've now, as a mom myself, watched my son go through some of those experiences.
Yeah.
It's okay. So you really start to think about that whole fight back and the whole concept of hope and how that plays into the dark parts of our lives.
Absolutely. Like just Yeah, like I think in 99 I remember I was like 13 going on 14 when the Y2K happened, and I remember everybody was freaking out about it. But like my little just turned teenager mind was like, I'm aware of it, but I'm not like, I wasn't like taking it super, I wasn't like super paranoid about it, worried about it, because I just didn't have that capacity yet, or that's just not
Sure.
how my mind worked at the time. But I do remember the Columbine stuff, and that was such a big deal, and it was because it was so horrific, and it's like unfortunate 20 years later, we're still seeing things that are taking place. And that's where it was, you took that into Crane's character, because he was like, yeah, we had to leave that area, and even though he had nothing to do with it, or it wasn't like even in his same town or anything like that. And then even so, he's trying to move away from it, and he's still, granted, he comes off as a little strange. He comes off a little
Yeah, but the
strange.
good
Yeah,
way. No, but I
yeah.
think, yeah, remember those events. I was a little tongue in cheek about it because I was definitely like one of the goth kids in high school, and we were the weird other kids. So when that happened, and then everyone tried to come process and come back for it, I spent many days locked in the principal's office because all of my weird kid friends and I would get like death threats from
I
the
was
cool
gonna
kids.
say, all of a sudden the eyes were turned on you.
It turned,
Like,
and that focus and that type of stereotyping and that type of random prejudice and hate, it's interesting how the touch points will stack over time, or how they will affect or touch different people over time. And I think everyone in their own way experiences that type of treatment and behavior, and it affects who we are and who we become and how we respond to it. It really is the judge of our character. So
absolutely. That's so funny how you're like, no, I was in that crew, because it's like, see you today. You don't look like all makeup up or like dark or anything like that. But I feel like that's the beauty of people. We just are so multidimensional. And I bet even if you were to like go out on a night, or if you were going to go to a themed bar or club or anything like that, you'd fall right back into your element and your makeup and your outfits and stuff like that, and like the music or whatever it is. I think that's so cool, because I don't know. I feel like that so many human beings are just, we fall into our little cliques and our phases, but for a lot of people, it's just, that was just part of us. It's just
yeah, I
who we
mean,
were.
it's just who you are. And don't let my presentation fool you. I just showered for the first time today, and got dressed for this because I've
Oh,
been
thank you.
running around like a swamp witch preparing for fall
You
semester
look
next
great.
week.
Good job.
But yeah, no, thank you. It's always nice to scrub off the dirt and the sticks. But come back to the land of the living. But yeah, no, definitely. When I'm with my friends or on my own, unobserved, like I'm still the same person I've always been. I think it just manifests differently when you hit 40. It starts to look a little bit different. Like all the tattoos stay covered and don't do the big black eyeliner anymore. But I'm definitely gonna put on, Typo Negative or something.
Unfortunately, certain situations, you're like, I'll tone it down. They're like, there's a time and place. And like, you read the room, you know.
You gotta know who your people are, where your crowd is, and how you're going to camouflage and or shine bright like a diamond in those
Yeah.
spaces.
I know, it's funny that you mentioned like kids, because it's the same thing. I'm like, what are they going to be like? And it's the same. Yeah, it's like you're kind of like looking out for them, and you're looking at, there's so many layers to being a parent, and mine are like
Oh
in
God.
third grade. Yeah, like third grade, and last year kindergarten, like school year just started up, I'm sure. And so no, it's funny how it's almost like each academic, we judge them, we gauge it in academic years. Like that, we're at the mercy of the academic year now. But it's just so, oh gosh, oh, you're too cool for me now that you're a third grader. And
Oh,
they
like
the
how you wait for
personalities.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. And they're both boys, and people are like, oh, I was already preparing for it. Even at age like 6, the older one was using my own language against me. He was, if we'd be arguing or like just kind of exchanging things like bedtime, and he'd be like trying to negotiate, and I'm like, what do you like? This is not a negotiation. And he's, mommy, I'm trying to talk to you, but you keep interrupting me. I'm like, because he's like,
Yeah.
he's being pragmatic about it, and like at my level, I'm like, get out of here, like, dude, like.
They're weird. They're the weirdest things ever, kids. My son just turned 18 and graduated high school. So he is,
Oh my gosh,
you know,
yeah, you're on a whole new thing.
we
Yeah, you're
got
on a whole new
into
level.
a little fisticuffs on a road trip earlier this summer, and you can't talk to me like that. I'm an adult now. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm still your.
No, exactly.
Um, I was like, I will talk
Exactly.
to you like that forever because
Exactly.
he was acting a fool and I had to call him out on it. It was just the girlfriend was in the car, so he was not. He
Oh
was playing
no.
with
And
toys.
then I will, yeah, sorry, not sorry. Your girlfriend's gonna learn too. Like
You're both about to learn not to cross me right now. Yeah, but it definitely, I remember when he would start, like, when he was a teenager and he would push back, or he would be like, you're not making any sense, or I think you need a nap, mom. And it was like all very true and astute, but rude.
right?
So,
Right? No, you
yeah,
don't talk to me like that. You
it's
don't
like,
get to
that's
make that
true, but
call.
you don't get to
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah. Oh
So,
my God. I know. And especially with just technology and stuff, it's like a whole new thing that we as parents have to deal with that our parents didn't really have to deal with that much. Or it was not at the level that it is now. I'd like
100%.
that's yeah. It
Yeah, we were
scares me.
panicking over Y2K, and now my
Yeah.
son is just
Yeah.
just doing all sorts of things, and I'm like, wait, where do you click?
Yeah.
And suddenly I am my grandmother who can't log into the Walgreens website to print out her photos off. It's karma's a weird thing. It comes back
It
in
really
really
is.
unexpected ways.
I know. I like to think I'm like so confident in technology, but then my son will ask, "Hey, can you help me zoom out?" I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm just like on their tablets if they have tablet time and they're like playing games, and it's just that's also another layer to it. It's like you want to watch what they're doing and then also watch make sure like what who or what has access to them. It's because you hear all these like scary like horror stories about adults targeting children, and that's what I worry about too. I'm like, hey, you're not talking to anybody online, are you? And he's like, no, I just try to go online when my friends are online. I'm like, okay, don't talk to anybody. And if somebody asks you like, oh, when are your parents home, or what days are you home at school, or where do you live, just say I don't share that information. Like I don't share that information. Like it's trying to put it also trying to put it into terms that they can understand.
It's very frightening. When I first started my academic career, did a lot of research in cyberbullying, and I spent
Yeah, yeah,
a
I was gonna
lot
say
of
you're like
time.
you have an extra level of like education and knowledge and protection for that. No, you're saying no.
No, not anymore. That's the thing. Like it
No.
changes and moves so
Oh,
fast.
yes,
But I
yes.
remember worrying about what my son was doing when he was specifically in fifth grade was a sensitive time in my era of cyberbullying knowledge. And I could write the most horrifying horror stories that I could pull out of my bones and never write stuff that as scary as like really goes on on the internet. So yeah, not a fan of that. And it's difficult as a parent to figure out even how to take care of your when they're online.
It's seriously because I remember how I was as a kid, and I'm like I could easily hide so many things from my parents
Oh
easily.
my god, I got
I
in so much trouble all the time, and my son was a fraction of as naughty as I was. Luckily, he's a very good kid,
I was gonna say,
because
and
the
you don't
world is
want them ever
scarier.
to know what you were up to. Like you don't ever like I got arrested when I was 17 for possession of marijuana, and I hope that my kids will never discover that. I hope my kids will never
I
discover that.
Yeah, my son knows way too many of my skeletons in my closet, but I that was my parenting, right? Learn from the experience so that you don't have to make the
It's
same.
your
You can make
choice,
your own
yeah,
mistakes, but not these ones I can help you not make. All the other
yeah.
nonsense you're going to do.
Because even though it's I don't know my view is still 20 years later, my view is marijuana is not the worst of our problems. It's just if my kid if I learned that he was doing it, I think I would maybe be worried about his age and maybe just his development. I don't know if I would worry about like him acting out or him getting into trouble. I think I would just be like, what is that doing to your brain? And also I don't want it to slow you down from your potential. That's where the concerns are.
Yeah, your priorities and perspectives as a parent definitely change from those when you were a teenager or a kid. And
Because but even now I'm like for me personally I'm like I don't know, fuck it, who cares anymore, the world's going to shit, but then I'm also like no, we're leaving this world for our kids, we have to care a little bit, like we have to.
it's a weird paradox for sure. It's for sure. I sometimes just want to crawl into a cave and hide forever. And then, but I also want to do good things and put good things out into the world in hopes that it will be a good place for future generations who are going to live on this planet. So, but
Absolutely.
it's a trick. It's a trick.
Absolutely, so you write cozy horror.
You just write cozy horror and hope for the best. Face those
Exactly.
fears right in the face, right? And write through them.
This is my approach, okay.
This is what I've got. I don't know. This is my skill set.
You no, seriously, you do have a skill set. I really like I was saying earlier, like I wasn't sure what to expect, but as I progressed through both of those stories, like even with the first one, I slowly got so hooked and so invested with these characters, and I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? And it was like, and it's so fun as a reader to see it like outside the frame, right? Because then we know more than the characters do, and then when we see it play out, we're sitting back there like, yeah, bro, don't go there.
I told you
Don't
not to
go.
do it.
Don't check on that person. Take a person with you. Take a partner with you. What are you doing going there alone? And then it's just, we see certain situations where, of course, we know because we know as a reader. But then that's the fun of it. That's the fun of it. That's you're inviting the reader to just enjoy the ride. And even though we're just sitting there with our popcorn,
But
bro,
thing
stop.
is with the kids, I will never forget when it was probably like right out of high school. I saw The Ring in the theater,
Oh,
and the famous scenes where you watch the
yeah.
film and the phone rings, and so Naomi Watts or whoever it is, she watches the film and then the phone rings, and the audience is, "Don't answer the phone,"
Yeah.
because we all know what's about to happen. We're like, "Don't do it, you idiot!" Not to answer the phone. Of course, she's hello. But I think whenever my kid does something nonsense, I want to be like, "Don't answer the phone." When Crane smells something really terrible coming out from an apartment, you're like, "Don't go in the apartment." And they do it anyway, and you just sit back and you're like, "Oh my god!"
You're like,
Right?
I know you have a thing for this girl, but and you told her you were gonna do it, but wait, don't
It's
do
like it's
it.
okay. You don't have to. You can change your mind.
Oh my god, yeah, you did such a good job with his character where we like slowly gained such an affection towards him, and we just wanted to protect him at all costs, even though he was like weird and creepy and up. But as DC's opinion, in a good way, he's our kind of creepy. He's on our side. He knows, and even like Grace, she was saying like, no, there was this boyfriend. She's like, no, he's the problem, and I'm looking at this creepy kid who's like standing by my daughter and ready to like protect her and protect him and protect, and he's fighting on her side. Like that's what I loved about it because it does prove don't judge a book by its cover, even though that's like what people do. Even the physical book, like a literal book, I judge a book by its cover all the time. But it's so
I
funny
know.
because it's no, you shouldn't because it's so true. You see the characters that do that.
And I feel the same way about the horror community at large. Like, we're a bunch of weird, creepy, spooky people, but we're the best people with the biggest hearts. And the ride or dies, we're
You
going to
guys
stand by
really
you. So,
are like, see, I don't know if you're familiar with Daniel Krause.
mhm.
He's like local to Chicago. He worked with Guillermo del Toro on The Shape of Water, and he did George Romero's The Living Dead, and his movie Whale, or his book Whale Falls, being made into a movie with Josh Brolin. And I interviewed him like 5 times, and I joked with him. I'm like, I think you officially get a jacket now because we've been talking like for so many of your books. But he's just one of the sweetest guys. It's so funny. And then when I see him, I'll be at an event and I'll seek him out. And I'm like, I think every book I have of yours is already signed. I just wanted to come say hi. And he recognizes me right away. He's, hey. And I'm like, can we take a picture? He's like, yeah, that's fine. Like, no, it's so true. Like, you guys have such, like, twisted minds, but you were seriously, it's so funny to talk to you, like, in person, one on one, where you're just real and pragmatic and just creative. You just have a talented brain and can put it on paper.
I think the beauty of the horror community and the horror authors, we are all the spooky weird kids who have been on the other side of those conversations so many times, and so there's such a like empathy and compassion and love in this community, and everybody's so wonderful. I will fangirl over some of my favorite authors and then get to meet them in person in real life, and they're just as fantastic as I ever dreamed they would be. And I
Yeah.
love that. I think that's a really wonderful part of the horror fiction world.
It's so true, and I think that's true of so many writers, almost no matter what genre. But I think, yeah, once you read like a horror, like a really gory, really like detail, where some of the scenes are just so gruesome. Like in your books, I wasn't prepared for how gruesome it was, but it definitely, I feel like you had to go there, like just to it really fit the mood and it really fit the seriousness that of those scenes and those stories. No, stakes are high, things happen, and this is serious. So that if you see something coming, or if you're in a character's point of view where they're noticing these things, and it's no, go back to your motel room, go back inside, go back.
Maybe don't wander into the street. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
Don't get your story. Don't just be. Come on,
Just let it
survival
go.
instincts.
Let it
Survival
go.
instincts. I know.
No,
I'm here
nice.
talking like I would hope that I would have common sense when if I was ever in a dangerous situation. I'm like
You
in
hope you would. I
suburbia.
hope I would. And I would not. I am routinely saved my life on a daily basis when my husband will grab me in the house. I'm like, no, don't pet that animal. No, don't wander into that dark alley, Lindy. And I'm just like, I don't know. I wanted to pet the frog. I don't know. Yeah. You'd think horror writers would especially know better, but I think we're
You're like, no,
the first
it's
ones to
that.
go. Like
It's that
curiosity just
curiosity.
drives you.
Yep. It's that curiosity. It's that. No, but wait, because it is the curiosity that feeds off into your work, and which you're like, no, research,
That's
research. Like,
research. Yeah, absolute research. Yeah, the things I have done in the name of research are rather hilarious, but I think we all do that. That's part of the process, and I'm very
I
method like that.
know.
I wrote a book about women who own and operate a funeral parlor, so I felt like
Yeah,
I needed to know how to do these things, and now I have accounts at medical supply companies so I can buy mortuary instruments for no reason, just so I can show them to people when they come over. When I stalk weird like vintage stuff sites so I can find sometimes weird things like in Dollface there's some very specific items that I needed to have, so I had to watch and wait for them to come through eBay. But yeah, I think that's
that's so
part of the
funny. Because
process.
that is usually one of my questions is exploring the research because I know that for a lot of writers, like when you're developing a story, you're maybe doing research and you fall down a rabbit hole like 4 or 5 hours, and it's like maybe 4 sentences in the whole story.
Oh my.
I'm like, I'm thinking just from you describing this little thing, you would get along with my mom because she's not like more morbid by any, but she's interested in old things and she doesn't shy away from like creepy stuff or anything like that. She's just oh antiques like she.
Tell me more. No,
Yeah,
I lost myself for a few hours last night looking at all the differences between wine glasses and what makes just for one sentence, but I needed to know this whole sommelier level knowledge just to get the one sentence right. So it's definitely a problem.
I love it.
But
That's hilarious. Was there anything super fascinating that you were like surprised to learn when you were like doing your research and stuff like that?
oh, sure. I think I mentioned earlier, like the real history of my real town plays into the Evans mythology, which means I've had to go beyond like my elementary field trip knowledge, dig up some of those things. And I have learned a lot of really strange, weird local legends from my hometown, and that in weird ways my family has intersected with them over the past 2 centuries, which is completely weird to discover. Speaking of those small town roots. Um, Lots of really weird stuff about how to do makeup on corpses and how to do
Yeah,
reconstructive stuff. I've
I was
learned
gonna
lots and lots and
say,
lots of weird things.
yeah. No, but you balance that with like the details, which were like to make it interesting, but also not disrupting the flow of the story. I thought that was so cool.
I try. I think I need to know. Like, I'm a professor, right? I need to know
Yeah,
these things. It's just part of my innate personality is to share things and to teach things, but to do it in a way that doesn't feel like a lecture or a sermon, not
right.
heavy-handed, but just cool things. And I read a ton of nonfiction, and I'm a huge fan of Mary Roach, who writes several investigative journalism type things over several different areas, but she does a lot in death and the afterlife. So she's got a book called Stiff on what happens to bodies, like the cadavers of bodies after we die that maybe go to research or other places. One called Spook about science's efforts to understand if there is an afterlife and what it's like. I've got her newest, I think it's called 6 Feet Over. So working through that one now. And then Caitlin Dowdy, who runs the Good Death Project. She's a mortician who does a lot of natural death and a lot of teaching about grief and the process of it. My reading list has doubled in the nonfiction side with these really
That is
incredible
so cool. I feel
people.
like I like that's one of the things where you don't really expect a lot of material to be out there, but then once you do, you're like, oh, of course there'd be tons of material out
And
there
it's
about this.
fascinating and well
Yeah.
written and informative and entertaining. One of Caitlin's books is called "Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs?" And it's like these real and strange questions that even if you didn't already have, you do now.
Yeah.
it's
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 like I was like, oh, we're good. I was like, I didn't have any questions, but now I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I had never wondered that. I don't have cats. Wasn't something I thought about before, but now I'm curious, and there is an answer for that question. Lovely readers, all of you who want to read that book now, but it's fantastic. So you learn a lot of fun
Oh,
stuff when you look up weird things.
yes. Yes, and I imagine your Google history is like maybe a little
Criminal,
questionable.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this at you. What advice do you have for? I'll just say, what advice do you have for Luna?
For
And then no,
Luna,
for Luna, and then what advice do you have for Roger? I'll do that.
oh boy. Wow, that's a great, excellent, wonderful, terrible question. Let me think about it. What advice do I have for Luna? God, I don't know. I think I would probably warn Luna about becoming just as secretive as her mother, grandmother, great grandmother, great great grandmother, because the strength of Luna's power, future, everything revolves around her opening up. And I think letting people in, the Evans women all suffer from that, and I think people in general, we tend to close ourselves off when we've been hurt. To open up and to embrace the people who love and care for her. Roger, probably take early retirement, man. Call it quits. Get your woodworking instruments out and retire to your front porch to whittle as he dreams of, and probably to stop eating so many cream cheese filled
Oh,
croissants.
poor
Now,
guy.
I would probably tell poor Roger to cut his losses and run, even though I don't want him to take my advice.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's so funny when I love asking authors this because then they're like, "Is it the beginning of the book or end of the book?" And then they're like, "They wouldn't listen to me anyway."
Gonna do what I want them to do, but that's probably for the best.
Oh gosh, that was like Roger. I think he would take your advice, and you're like, "Don't."
Like, I changed my mind. Actually, you have to stay forever.
He's like,
Yeah.
"Keep your chin up. Keep your chin up, buddy."
Yeah, tighten your belt another notch, keep your chin up, and be nicer to Brandon. I think,
Oh
especially,
gosh, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Brandon is
I
just
know
one of those
he's
characters.
or it's unfortunately he's against like people just having their preconceived notions about him just being his age and as new in his career as he is, and but he's not. You shouldn't take him lightly. He's got intel and he's intuitive and he knows the right questions to ask, and he's like, what's going on? And but also that kind of also brings problems too.
He's definitely
Yeah,
nosy in a
yeah.
good way, and sometimes not in so much a good way. He'll learn. I hope.
Yeah, so you tease us a little bit of what can readers, without getting you in trouble, what can readers expect in future of your story in the Bless Your Heart series?
There's still a lot of questions we need to answer, and bless your heart, and we really need to be able to go back to the beginning of when everything started. So the plan is going to be to keep digging up bones and maybe get to meet some other generations of Evans women of the past. So I want to get back down to the root cause. What is it, where it started, and how do they end this once and for all?
Maybe further we get further page time with some swoony characters that were responsible for. I say Sam.
Maybe.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
it was so funny.
Sam.
Yeah, it's so funny because I was like, I don't know if people are saying he's like super handsome and he's like super smart and he like his relationship, like him and his interactions with Roger. I was like, ooh, respect. That's still sexy. I was like, oh,
There's definitely some, I don't even know. Remember when I was writing that and I was letting the characters become who they were going to become? Sam was
yeah,
just this unknown entity. I feel like Luna, I don't really know what he's going to be like. We'll just see who Sam is. And then Sam comes out and he's all full of swagger. And we're like,
yeah,
oh, well, okay.
he still
Um,
got it.
you still got it. You've been in that. I mean, you've been in that front garden under that flower bush for a while, but you're coming in hot. No, I really want to find time to write Grace and Sam's story and to kind of just pull that out of the world and just let that breathe a little. But I definitely want. Sam didn't used to be who he is now, so I think there's history for him to go through too.
He is super interesting. Like he's definitely a big player that we don't really get a lot of. We get enough of for what we need, but I'm like, yeah, there are readers, me included, where we're like, he's, we want to know more. We
Thank you
want
for
to know
that
more
feedback. That's
for
good to
sure.
know.
Yeah,
I always
yeah,
forget about Sam. It's this weird
yeah,
thing with me. I'm so focused on Crane and Roger and Brandon and like who's there right now, and I forget that Sam's and the poor guy he was just trying to have a family with Grace, and they had Luna. Then he gets stuffed under a bush, and then he wakes up, and it's all gone to hell. And then he just tries to fix something, and now he's framed as a serial killer. And he's like,
Oh
man, I'm
gosh,
just trying to make it in Southeast
I
Texas.
know. He's yeah, like you said, like that swagger. He's just taking it. He's just taking it,
He
and
does kind of roll.
he doesn't let on how much he may or may not be like, fuck, oh shit, this again. Like, he doesn't really let on. He's just like, where's my wife? Where's my daughter? Like,
Yeah,
in
like
what? Okay, hey, hello again, ladies. This is.
it's like more of you. There's more of you now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had such fun writing the prologue for Another Fine Mess, where we take a step back and we see Sam and Pi Evans interacting, and we really get to know that there's so much more to this character, to this relationship, and this dynamic over these generations. And Sam just strolls on up to the porch and he starts to pick on her, and she's, "What? I don't have time for your crap, and I need you to put me down." And he's like, "Well, I guess so." So yeah, no.
So it's just like, yeah, that's how we know there's more to him. We knew there was more to him, but then now we know, oh, there's more to him, like
Definitely
really more. And it was just like, oh, yeah, for the readers, it was just like, oh, now you're gonna adjust more. What the hell?
I will forever remember that quote. Thank you for that.
Take it. That was just me. No, if I, it's so funny. I tell others this. I'm like, if you see my notes, they get a little more hinged at like certain points where I'm like, and even this is one of the books where I read. Another Fine Mess was one of the books where I was like, I would say out loud, "What?" And then I was like, "I knew it." And then my husband's, "Are you all right? Are you all right over there?"
But I knew it. Yeah.
Yeah, my husband, "You good? Like, how's that book?" Because I'm just like outwardly like whispering or loudly whispering to myself. I'm like, "I knew it." And he's just, "Yeah, I see that." And it's really funny because he like knows what I do, and so I'll tell him like, "Oh, this book is like so fucking crazy," or I'll be like, "This book is hard to get through," but I'm like, it's so when but he knows that if he hears me saying things without talking to him about it, then he knows that it's a good. He knows that he knows it's getting a reaction out of me if he's hearing me verbalize things where I'm like, "I knew it, I knew it."
As a reader, I am very much the same, and I do get that
Yeah.
feedback in my own home because I'll be sitting and writing, and apparently I have an evil cackle that comes out when I write something that I find particularly evil, and I just go, my husband, "What you doing over there?" And I'm like, "Nothing." So I think, I
That's so
think those are the
funny.
best moments, and when somebody
Yeah,
else
I love
witnesses
that.
them, even better.
Yeah, because they're looking at, they're like, "What are you doing? What is going on?" Or they're like, I don't know. I don't know if your husband is like a better reader or anything like that, but it's just kind of if he's like watching out for it.
He doesn't read, but he is my prop. So I know there's been many times, especially when I was writing Dollface, where I would find myself just looking at him and he's, "What?" And I'm like, "I'm just wondering how if I could drown you in this barrel." And he's, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, do you mind like helping me out? Like, I want to see if I could hold you down." And so I have, yeah, all in the name of research, right? Back to the research conversation. But no, he doesn't read because by the time I'm finished writing something, he's already acted out like
That's
a fair amount
hilarious.
of it.
He's like, I don't need to go through it again.
So see what you had in mind while you were holding me down
I
and
love
pretending
that.
to drown me.
He's a good sport. He's a good sport. He sounds like a
Definitely.
good sport.
Definitely is.
That's so funny. Okay, Lindy Ryan, where can we find you online and on social media?
I am most active on Instagram at Lindy Ryan Writes, at lindyryanwrites.com, and on my Substack, which is called The Evans Funeral Parlor.
That is perfect. I love that, especially since that's not like your only work that you've done. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Lindy Ryan, Another Fine Mess is number 2 that came out this year. That is the sequel to Bless Your Heart. I highly recommend everybody start with Bless Your Heart and before you get on to Another Fine Mess. And I guarantee you will be waiting for the next one. I'm for someone who doesn't gravitate towards horror. This was like seriously one of the most entertaining and fun reads I've read in the last like 5 or 6 months, and I loved it. I love where you take us and what you do with it, and the comedy and like the attachments and what the fuck, but also thank you and
I'm sorry, and you're welcome.
yeah. But yeah, and if and when you're ready to release and talk about the next one, I keep me in mind. I'd love to chat again.
Of course, absolutely.
And there you go. That was Lindy Ryan talking about Bless Your Heart and Another Fine Mess. Both of those books are available now. Check out the show notes to see links where you can find Lindy online and on social media and where to purchase the book. In the show notes, you will also see where to find Cantina Book Club on your favorite social media book communities, such as Bookstagram, BookTok, BookTube, Threads, Facebook, and more. And I would love and appreciate it if you could hit that follow up or subscribe button so that you never miss out on book reviews and author interviews. If you have any book loving friends who are looking to get more out of their reading lists, please share Cantina Book Club with them so that they can find upcoming releases and interviews with authors. Another way to help this podcast is to head over onto your favorite book podcast player and give Cantina Book Club a rating and review. It helps me reach more potential listeners and fellow book lovers like you. And that goes for any podcast that you listen to. It's one of the easiest ways that you can help out. If you need book recommendations, you could reach out to me. I'm always excited to share my recent favorites. Or you could head on over to cantinabookclub.com to read more in-depth book reviews of all types of genres. While you're at it, you can subscribe by entering your email on the website so that you could get new reviews and episode posts delivered directly to your inbox. If you want to support Cantina Book Club even more, you could donate by finding the form on cantinabookclub.com. Whether it's a one-time donation or as little as $1 a month, I seriously appreciate the support and will share my appreciation by giving you a shout out and maybe send you a little something special. And finally, one of the best ways to help authors promote their works is to head over to Amazon, Goodreads, give a title that you've read, a rating and review. It's free and it helps out almost as much as actually purchasing the book. Thanks so much for listening and see you next time. Cheers.